This is TWiT.
More ransomware news from Florida. We talked last week.
So amazing.
I know.
It's so amazing.
We talked last week about Riviera
Beach was
Riviera Beach,
yeah.
Yes, in Florida, right? And that was a relatively small community of 30,000. On June 10th, the computers of Lake City, Florida, population 12,000, ceased to function as malware encrypted their data after they were hit by a powerful ransomware attack that was named Triple Threat because it mixes three different methods of compromise. As we have always seen, and this happened again, an employee opened a document they received in email, which infected the city's network with the Emotet Trojan, which later downloaded the TrickBot Trojan, and then later that downloaded the Ryuk, R-Y-U-K ransomware. And Ryuk is something that we're going to be here, or maybe it's Ruck. Anyway, I like Ryuk.
I'm guessing it's like the Three Stooges. Yuck, yuck, yuck. It's Ruck, Ruck, Ruck.
Ruck, Ruck, Ruck.
Y-R-U-K, right? Ruck, Ruck, Ruck.
Ruck, Ruck, Ruck. Ruck, Ruck, Ruck. So the Ruck ransomware, but that's really nothing to Ruck, Ruck, Ruck about. It is, although now in this case, these guys quickly detected the attack, disconnected the affected systems within minutes of the discovery that something was very wrong. But that, of course, all this stuff moves at the speed of light. So the malware was still able to infect systems controlling most of the city's landline, phones, and email systems, and, of course, lots of other ancillary systems. The landline, phones, and email being communications was, very much in everyone's face, which forced employees to revert to pen and paper in an attempt to continue working. Fortunately, in this case, the police and fire and other emergency services remained unaffected since they were on a separate network. They didn't receive a demand for ransom immediately, and they were wondering whether it might have been because they quickly took the systems offline, thinking that maybe the bad guys didn't know they had been infected. But it turns out that wasn't the case. The request was received for ransom a week later by the Florida League of Cities, which is the insurance provider for the city of Lake City, which is the city that was infected. So to me, this represents...
You're saying that the ransomware guys bypassed the middleman and went straight to the insurance company?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
I know, which is a little chilling.
Well, it's a spear phishing attack, right? These are targeted attacks.
Yes, yes. So this league, the Florida League of Cities, the insurance carrier, began negotiating with the attacker and agreed to pay 42 Bitcoin. At the time, Bitcoin has been jumping around a lot recently. It hit a peak at 13,000, but it just today dropped below 10. But at the time, it was 400,000. So, and I was interested to hear that the attacker sent the ransom demand to the city's insurance carrier. This suggests more sophistication than I had expected, but I think we need to recalibrate ourselves. Now get this. The city's information technology director, whose name is Brian Hawkins, said, quote, "Our systems are shut down, but there is no evidence to indicate any sensitive data has been compromised," which would be, painting a happy face on this disaster.
There's no evidence.
Of course, again, he's the city's information technology director, Brian Hawkins.
He's the guy responsible for this then.
We'll be coming back to him in a moment. He said all customer service payment data, such as credit card data, is stored off-site by third-party vendors and would not have been accessed by an attack like this on our network. However, with no proper backup to restore the data, Lake City was left with no option but to pay the ransom. Thus, the city's leadership approved the ransom payment last Monday. 42 Bitcoins were paid last Tuesday, and the city's IT staff began decrypting files later the same day. So, pretty quick action, negotiated with the insurance carrier. The insurance carrier, in fact, I'm getting ahead of myself because I have here written down the show notes. Mayor Stephen Witt said that the administration made the decision to pay up after talking with the FBI, and when the FBI probably said, there's nothing we can do to help you. And so Stephen Witt said, okay, thank you. Next.
The FBI's standard recommendation is do not pay. But, in this case, I think you have to change your tune if you have no recourse because, normally they say don't pay for two reasons. It incents the bad guys. Well, believe me, we don't need to incent them anymore. And,
right.
And it often doesn't work because they may not have or give you the key. But I've been thinking about this. Something so highly publicized,
yes,
you're going to get the key because the ransomware authors want you to think paying works.
Yes.
It may not if you're just a private individual, but if you're a city, I think you have a better shot at getting it back, don't you?
Well, and yes, and as we talked about last week when we looked at two previous instances, the Riviera Beach and a one in, I think it was in Atlanta, the actual cost of not paying. Wait, it wasn't Riviera because they were the people who paid $600,000.
Right.
So it was two
Baltimore
previous
didn't
ones,
pay, and they were down for weeks and weeks.
And the remediation cost was millions, many millions of dollars. So although no one wants to pay, it unfortunately it actually ends up being the least expensive proposition. So in this case, for this city, their deductible was $10,000. So they paid $10,000. The insurance carrier paid the balance. And the city's IT director, Brian Hawkins, was fired.
Thank you.
So
thank you,
yes.
You nitwit.
Yes, exactly. So we have 42 Bitcoins this week. 65 the week before. So that's in the neighborhood of $1.3 million for these two cities. So this creates a dilemma.
There's a third Florida city, by the way, Biscayne Beach, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm just getting to it.
Oh, good. All right.
So attackers, here's the problem. Attackers have apparently found an interesting niche to
It's a good
attack.
niche. It's a good niche.
We, like individuals, smaller government municipalities apparently lack sufficient IT infrastructure to allow them to both protect from and recover from targeted attacks. But unlike individuals, they have much more important data at stake, as well as insurance, to take the short-term sting out of paying up. And they've got arguably much deeper pockets as well. So, okay, here's a test. I want everyone currently listening to this podcast to raise your hands if you think that, unless you're driving, if you think
then raise
that
a finger.
Okay, a finger. Good. Yes, take a finger off the wheel. If you think that the bad guys have all the money they want and will now stop pestering deep-pocketed, well-insured, small municipalities with targeted attacks.
They're going to retire.
Okay,
now.
Everybody got your hands up? Anyone? No? That's right. We're going to be seeing more of this. And, guess what? That's already happened. Since then, I was trying to wrap up this story.
I'm sorry, I ruined it for you.
News kept coming in. An even smaller village of 3,000 residents in Florida, Key Biscayne, was just yesterday hit. officials reported, I guess it was earlier because we have yet another one. Officials reported a Ruck ransomware infection last week, but they haven't decided yet if they want to pay the ransom demand. A special session of the Village Council of Key Biscayne was held last Friday night, with a second session on Saturday, to determine how to respond to the Ruck ransomware attack on the village's systems. No answer yet. What's happened is, as a consequence of this now sort of ongoing series of high-profile attacks, is that the public and the media are beginning to turn negative on city officials who fail to secure networks and then to decide to pay hackers.
Yeah, in fact, there's a term now, Riviera Beached. You've been Riviera Beached. So that'll give you some idea.
Yeah. So now paying ransom is viewed as a sign of a city administration's failure and weakness, rather than being a quick fix to get access back for the citizens' data and so forth. And as we would expect, in following all of this up, forensics has always determined that it was a city employee who ushered the malware into the network by opening a malicious email and clicking on something.
But you can't blame the employee so much. Why is that malware getting through their intrusion detection systems? Why is it passing? Have they been trained? You can't completely blame the employee. This stuff's hard to spot.
Yes.
By the way, I want to. There's an update on this from Ars Technica. Okay. According to Ars, Riviera Beach, in addition to the $600,000 they spent, will spend $1 million in remediation. So they're not done.
Wow.
And this morning, the Georgia Administrative Office of the Courts confirmed they've been hit by Ruck.
Yes, and in the show notes.
Oh, was it in the notes?
And just as I was trying to wrap up the story, the state of Georgia's Judicial Council and Administrative Office of the Courts fell victim to a Ruck ransomware attack.
So it makes sense because these smaller cities, they don't have budget. They have valuable information. Plus, I thought about this. It's probably easier to spearfish them because they all have public websites. So does the Georgia court, where you can go and find the name of the city manager, his email. You can find the name of the comptroller, her email.
Right, very good point.
So you don't have to do a lot of snooping around to get everything you need.
And you could probably generate email, like, for example, spoof the sender data of some employee to be their boss, because the managerial structure is also public knowledge. I mean, it's all public record. So you do some research and you generate very convincing looking email, which you then send to an unwitting employee and say, hi, Betty, following up on our conversation recently, here's the data that I told you I would provide.
You're the city manager and you send a note to the comptroller saying, this spreadsheet looks like the numbers are funny. Can you check it? That's all you have to say.
Yep.
And unfortunately, you still read news reports saying, watch out for email from people you don't know, which is exactly the wrong thing to watch out for. It's always from people you know.
So their infrastructure is publicly available. They are insured. So they've got, and one wonders how long insurance is going to be making these payments before either the rates start to skyrocket or the insurance companies say, hey, we're not going to insure you against ransomware. You need to do training and you need to put systems in place and also, seriously be able to back up and recover yourself from this kind of problem.
Yeah.
It really is so they're
my guess though is this is not the insurance company in this case. What did you say? It was the Florida state government's Florida city.
So maybe they called themselves the
Association of Florida City Governments, something like that. It sounds like it's the governments themselves.
Florida League of Cities. Yeah. You're right. So it sounds like it's a private insurance pool that they all that yes.
Nevertheless,
yeah,
you don't really how much is left. Wow, wow. This is of course, and you know what? If you're the Petaluma City Council or the Irvine City Council, your fiduciary duty means you got to go ask your IT director. What's the situation now, Steve? There's something I wanted to ask you about this. It seems like a simple backup would solve this problem. Is that not the case?
Yes, except that it
has to be offline because you can't have the virus infect it.
Correct, and the viruses also look for all connected drives and network drives. So. I mean, so if you could do a full nightly image of everything
and take it offline,
exactly,
take it offline, or put it somewhere like a Glacier where it's immutable, or if you did that, and I think that's not so hard or expensive.
And I think the problem is it's just a matter of doing it. Like, for example, we still have Flash in browsers, like against all reason. Why? Well, because we've had it before. How long has it taken us to stop using old hashes and old ciphers? So the problem, I think, also is none of these municipalities have as much budget. I wouldn't be at all surprised if the IT people are saying to their
please buy us
boards,
a hard drive. Please,
yes,
I beg of you.
Like we need this much money in order, and I'm sure the city council says, we don't have it. I mean, we love to repave our roads and we love to update our parking meters and blah 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 blah. I mean, so I'm sure it's just a matter of like the stuff is working.
Yeah.
And so
that's really what it is. By the way, user in our chat room just sent me a link to the Florida League of Cities Municipal Insurance Trust on the front page. Take our webinar on remediating and avoiding ransomware on the front page. And they're doing a webinar, but it's not till next week. So preventing ransomware, tools, tips, techniques, and technologies. Lots of T's in there.
Yeah. And again, it's like so certainly preventing the infection is what you would like to do. That's the probably the least expensive thing you could do would be to somehow keep this from happening. But in a large organization, a large municipality, how do you get that message out to everyone, especially when they've got bad habits from home and from their phone and from everywhere else on the internet, and it only takes one. That's the other problem is, back when we were talking about Sony and the advanced persistent threat there, I said on the podcast, I don't want that job.
No,
you cannot secure something that big. You just can't.
On Saturday, we had in studio the man in charge of IT at West Point Military Academy. And I asked him about this because we were talking about this very story. And he said, well, we have the U.S. Army Cyber Defense Command on campus, and they're very good. He said, but the problem is you only have to make one mistake. We have to be perfect. The hackers don't have to be perfect. We have to be perfect. No mistakes. And that's hard to do, no matter what, even for West Point. Even,
and consider, in the case of the last two attacks, average of $500,000 ransom.
For crying out loud. Buy a Synology. Put it in the closet.
That is a serious ransom windfall for the bad guys. And how many cities are there in the United States?
Oh, yeah. And they're all this bad, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Every one of them.
Well, because, again, it's aging infrastructure. It's systems that are, they're probably running, some of them probably running XP still because it's like, well, this works. Or our city infrastructure was written for XP and it won't run. It's 16-bit Windows code and it won't run on Windows 7 or on Windows 10. They're stuck.
IT guy, run down to Costco right now, buy a 4 terabyte hard drive, USB. If you have to walk to every machine and copy the data off of that machine and then put that hard drive in the closet, do it now and do it every week from now on, right? At least. Seems like.
Yeah.
Criminy.
Well, and I've mentioned that because it is such a clear issue, and because ransomware will jump to and encrypt anything connected, what
it has to be
the system
offline.
Yes, the system I have built dynamically mounts and images and then unmounts drives, which are not visible except during the brief window of time when I'm doing the imaging. Because
and you have to rotate the images in case the most current image copies the encrypted data. You have to be able to go one back. Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't think it's that hard. I think you got to do it. It's $88 for a 4 terabyte drive now. $88.
Well, and it's intent. I mean, it's like time. Like the IT guy is probably busy keeping his system up rather than, and then city council says, okay, you need to tell us that we're completely immune to a ransomware attack.
Nope.
And the IT guy says,
nope,
we're not. I've been telling you for 2 years, And so, so maybe some money gets freed up. But again, as you said, it takes one mistake and it takes down a municipality that has insurance, deep pockets. They're going to pay the ransom because it's going to be far more expensive than, they're basically gone until they like limping along until they pay the ransom. And exactly as you said, in this case, the decryption keys were provided same day.
Yeah.
Here's your Bitcoin. Here's your decryption keys.
This guy's probably down the street, right? He's probably in the area. Maybe not, but it might as well be. But something else to mention is a good email system like Office 365, Microsoft Exchange, or Gmail will, in most cases, you're not going to get ruck through your email. You're just not. But what they can't filter out against is links, infected websites. They can, but they're not going to be up. I can make today a website they wouldn't know about till tomorrow. So
there is an attack right now. I didn't get it into the show notes, but it's leveraging JavaScript obfuscated in images which are being served by ad servers to unwitting websites. And
how are you gonna avoid that, boy?
You also just don't click on an ad. Whoever clicked on an ad anyway? I don't know who clicks on ads. Only bots.
Well, couldn't these infect you without your clicking? They're just running code. Couldn't it just, if you had the flaw, you'd have to have a flaw in your browser, right? But remember that Firefox 0 day.
That's right. You do not want to, because browsers are sandboxed, and so they're trying not to let anything out without some user action. And so there's a big difference between viewing something and clicking something. Clicking lets everything loose because you don't know what's behind that button.
Yep.